77 of the Unscripted Company podcast, one of the fastest growing podcasts on the internet. We are coming hot off episode 76, where I was on location scouting out some future Applebees, which is one of our proud sponsors of this program. Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood. Check them out. Go late night. Tell them Riley and JK from the Unscripted Company podcast sent you, and they will hook you up with some half-price appetizers. Well, if the title of this episode didn't give it away, it has been a week. I feel like I need to create a shirt that just says, it has been a week, because for some reason, I kid you not, if you go back and watch the intro of almost every single episode we've done, for some reason, my brain likes to default to saying, it has been a week. It's always been a week.
It's always been a week.
Yeah. I know, at least on my side, we have Annabelle, the demonic doll, back in the news again. I know we've talked about the doll before. There's been some new news that's dropped since then. I know on my side, kind of the end of an era for late night television. We'll get into that here in a little bit. There was, I think the entire internet saw this happen, but we had the whole Astronomer CEO and HR head, that whole scandal go down in real time. That was hilarious. I know on your side, if you want to give some intro, but it seems like you got a lot of Trump news going on. It seems like Secretary Bessent potentially with Japan. What you got on your side?
Yeah, a lot of mine is just we thought things were kind of subsiding, but here we are, and they're not. So there's apparently some, let's just say, some money that was never disclosed to be available for schools, public schools.
Oh, really?
That now Trump is being sued by U.S. states. We'll get into that. A lot of my stuff tends to be update based stuff, but I try to usually do some deep dives. I will say, I thought I had something on here, but apparently there was a murder in Krum this past week.
There was.
Let me see if I can actually find it again real quick, but I thought I had saved it, but I guess I didn't, but it's not hard for me to find. But apparently someone had, let's see here. Let me find it real quick. Fentanyl case, murder and fentanyl case.
Wait, murder because of the fentanyl, or someone gave? Man, first of all,
we're gonna get into it.
Yeah, dude, fentanyl's a scary one. I'm not an avid or ever really that type of a drug user, but it's scary because you see the statistics and just how deadly fentanyl truly is. And I feel like as a country, we've gone from, the opioid crisis is still very much alive and well, unfortunately. But we've had this it's been around for a while now, but just the fentanyl scare. And I don't know if you remember, this might have been about 2, maybe 3 years ago now. There were so many, I guess I'll use the term celebrities, that were finding themselves dead due to overdose, fentanyl overdose.
Well, they weren't finding themselves dead. Other people were finding them dead.
Unfortunately, you are correct. The semantics of that. But it's mind-boggling that it's just so prevalent. And I know in Austin, and I know other major metropolitan areas, and possibly even small towns, in a lot of bars now, they'll actually have test kits. So you can test your drugs, just because they know the reality of the situation. They know people will consume drugs regardless of the legalities of them, but they'd rather you not die of fentanyl than, just check yourself before you wreck yourself type thing.
Well, here's the thing though. Most of the fentanyl overdoses, it's not just fentanyl. They mix other stuff with it.
Yeah.
To give you, because they use real legitimate fentanyl in hospitals to help with things like when you're going in to get treated if you're in an emergency situation, yes, or just even if they need to use it, they use it. But it's real fentanyl. It's not the synthetic fentanyl that people are manufacturing on the streets. So people tend to get those two confused, and they think it's just the same medication. So maybe we should go after the hospitals. No, it's a fake synthetic, same as any other drug that they can make and manufacture. It's just a synthetic of what something legitimate is that they use in things like in medical centers and everything. So
isn't it always kind of, this is some dark humor here, but isn't it kind of funny how most of these, not even opioids, this predates opioids, like these painkillers that start off having like a legitimate medical use case,
yep.
and then they hit the main market or they get abused in some way. Like heroin's the one always like kind of just, I don't know, I don't want to say I laugh at it, but heroin was like a thing that was prescribed at one point in time. uh, Medical prescriptions have always baffled me. It's what we think of today as being normal uh, drugs to prescribe to people. In 10, 15, 20, 50 years, we'll probably look back and say, that was terrible. Why
Yeah.
did we ever do that? Like,
Well, it's the same reason why I mean, it kind of goes into the same premise as I know Oregon's or the state of Oregon's the only one I think that's actually doing it, or currently testing it. But medical mushrooms on people with
yeah,
PTSD.
that's an interesting one.
I've looked into the study. I've researched it. I have a buddy who he works up in Washington. He's in the medical field, and he's the one who actually told me about it. And he told me about the benefits of it, but it is definitely a very controlled aspect. I mean, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, people could still go get stuff themselves if they really want it, but think of it like medical marijuana. It's very controlled. You can only get it so often, but then again, if your doctor writes you a prescription for it, then you can go get it. So,
Yeah, or think about it like therapy, right? It's a controlled environment to a certain extent, and
right,
it's prescribed. There's oversight, I guess.
right,
You know, but everything can be abused to a certain extent. So it's
100%.
like, you know, but I think it's a good thing to explore those alternatives rather than basically blacklisting them. And I know we're going to be talking about Annabelle, but demonizing them and causing most people to be scared of them. But I digress. That could be like a whole conversation, the war on drugs, all that fun stuff. But I guess, do you want me to kick it over to you? Do you got a question of the week?
I do have a question of the week for us. I actually had a couple, so I had to really choose which
You can
one.
rapid fire if you want to. We could do like 2 or 3 if you got them.
All right. So the first one is, what if your dreams aren't symbolic but literal, and you've just never had the tools to interpret their architecture?
Man, so when you started to read off that question, first of all, I think it would be terrifying if literal, but I think there is some truth to that, because obviously I am not a neurologist of any kind, but you know, the whole saying of your dreams are coming from something within your subconscious most of the time, at least I would assume that. I've been going through this. I guess I could have been doing this my whole life. I just wasn't aware of it because I didn't have someone sleeping next to me to call me out on some of this. But Abby's been, I guess, like she'll give me like a report of like the silly stuff I'll do. Like in my sleep,
Dana does the same thing.
Yeah, like I'm really guilty of like waking up in the middle of the night and having these like lucid conversations to where like I'm kind of there, but I'm kind of not there. The one we always like to joke about, I have numerous examples, but the one that we always like to talk about is like one time I woke up in the middle of the night. I started frantically looking through like the bed sheets and like under the comforter and the sheets and whatnot, because I was looking for a jalapeno. Now, why would there be a jalapeno in the middle of the bed? I have no idea, but it was something that was happening. I bring this up because literally yesterday, we had like a very busy morning and early afternoon. So we took like a nap at like 4 p.m. I wake up at like, I don't know, 5:30 p.m. if I remember correctly. And I was in this very lucid state to where I woke up in our bedroom, a place that should be extremely familiar to me. Like, yes, I know we kind of moved in like 4 months ago, give or take, but somewhere that my brain should be aware of, like, this is your home. This is a safe space. But for some reason, I was concerned that we had to check out of the hotel, like ASAP. So I remember I kind of bugged her. I woke her up and I was like, do we have one more night here? And she's like, well, what are you talking about? And then at that moment, thankfully, it kind of clicks sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'm like awake, but not awake. So I'm like, okay, I'm being stupid.
So I guess before I ask the second question,
Yeah.
I guess me and you're on the same. I don't know if it's a man thing because I do the exact same
I
thing.
think it's a stress thing. I'll be honest with you.
I
I
think
think
it's
a
a stress.
lot of it's stress induced.
Well, because there be times like I've contemplated like we have like a little pet cube camera, just like if we're ever gone
Oh,
somewhere, so
yeah.
like we can check in on the cats. Well, I've thought about actually putting that in the bedroom and then like checking the recording the next morning because
It's like
there be
Paranormal Activity.
dude because there be times where it's like uh there's been two separate there's been multiple occasions. These are the three that actually four, but two of them are really easy. So one is Dana woke up one night and heard me giggling in my sleep. Like I was just like
I've apparently have been known to do that too. Yeah.
The other one, I was like hysterically laughing in my sleep. Like I don't know what was going on, but like I was like full on like a cackle laugh almost. The third one, and possibly our most favorite, is I think Dana was already awake that morning and I was still asleep. I think it was a weekend. It had to have been a weekend. But out of complete silence in the middle of me sleeping, all you hear is breakfast. And then I went back to sleep.
Well, hey, was there breakfast?
I don't know. The other one, this was probably the weirdest one, and I've never done this before. So I was on like I've kind of gotten away from my schedule. I'm working on getting back to it, but I had I always wake up at 5 to 5:30 in the morning.
God, that is good on you. That's hard.
It is.
Do you find yourself, not to get totally off track, do you find yourself like actually being able to get up? Like your alarm goes off and you're like, time to get up. Or are you like snooze, 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 snooze. All right, then I'll get up.
No, I get up. Okay. I usually get up within like the first one or two alarms, and then like I count down from 5. So as soon as I hit one, I get out of my bed. And then I make my pre-workout, get my water, headphones, all that stuff. I go to the gym and then come home, and she's either still asleep or she's kind of waking up.
Yeah.
But I woke up because this was before I think I started going back to the gym. I think because I was still kind of iffy about my neck and my back. I didn't want to like jack anything up heavily. So I was like, I have some 25-pound weights at home, some resistance bands. I'll just throw something on the TV, listen to some sermon or something like that, and then just work out at home. And so usually when I would do that, I would sit on my couch and I would do about 30 minutes of Bible study prior to going to the or not going to the gym, but just working out at home. If I go to the gym, I listen to stuff on my headphones.
Yeah.
So I get up, I go in there and I sit down and I open up my Bible and I start praying, and I finish praying, and all of a sudden I was just like, I don't know what prompts me to do this. I click on my phone. It's 2:30 in the morning. Like I just woke up thinking it was 5:30 in the morning because I subconsciously heard my alarm go off, and I just woke up and just went in there and just sat down and just started reading, and then I look over my phone and it's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I'm going back to bed.
Yeah.
I was like,
I used to do that in high school sometimes. I'd like wake up and dude, I used to do this weird thing. It's definitely stress induced where like during band camp in high school, I would just like wake up in the middle of the night in like a lucid state and think that I had to like stand at attention. So like, just like, the military, they stand at attention, like band basically has the same concept to that. And I would literally be sitting in bed, like at attention like this, thinking that there was like a band director, like waiting for me to slip up in some way. And then I'd have to like start to rationalize with my semi-lucid state of like, no, you're at home. It's dark outside and you're literally sitting in a bed. Like it is okay to lay back down and go back to sleep. And then I'd eventually go back to sleep. But thankfully, I don't think I've done that since. But man, I start to want, there are days though when I wonder, I'm like, do I need to go do a sleep study?
Dude, I've like, and if it is a stress thing, I mean, I'm surprised I haven't done it recently, but I probably have. I don't know. To me, it just blows my mind. Because it's not like I don't ever mean to do it, but like some of them are interesting, but then it's like again, it's just it has to be a stress thing overall to cause people to do that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So the second question, if someone offered you a complete map of your subconscious, would you read it or burn it?
I feel like I'd read it.
I'd read it too.
Yeah, I feel like it could help you if you're able to like really understand and diagnose that and then make some changes or, double down on whatever findings you have. I feel like it's basically like the fast pass of going to therapy, right?
Yeah.
But if someone
Like
just hands you like an actual like map of
like a
what's going on.
transcript of your inner thoughts and what your brain is like and everything. Because
Yeah.
like that's the thing is like when it comes to people's brains, you have like different like multiple personality disorders, depression, and all that. Like when you get a scan of your brain, it shows different because it's the different parts of your brain of where those aspects come from. And it's not hard to like reshape your brain and change your brain. It's just it takes time, and you could like I'm not the same person I used to be 8 years ago, but I'm also not the same person I was 2 years ago. And so it's like it takes time overall to like really grow into whatever it is. And your brain is always changing, and some people can't help the way that they are when, they have certain issues or they're dealing with certain things. They can't help the way they are.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's just one of those things. But yeah, I would totally read it. I would read it, study it, dissect it, everything, and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah. I feel like that would be a really good business, honestly. It would put, like Myers-Briggs and all those personality tests and whatnot that companies and really individuals will pay, tens of hundreds of dollars to
Right.
psychoanalyze themselves. I feel like if you would be able, and realistically, I think with the way artificial intelligence is headed
Mhm.
and just technology as a whole, that could be something we could see in our lifetime where it's a slippery slope, but you could basically hook up something to your brain, for lack of a better term, and be able to psychoanalyze yourself and get a whole readout of what's going on there. Because I'm picturing Neuralink. Like we have multiple
Right.
patients that legitimately are controlling things with their minds. Right now, it's only being used, thankfully, on people who have, medical setbacks where they can't maybe control their arms or legs, or if they're paralyzed,
Yeah.
and so it helps them control things on a computer and stuff like that. I didn't even think to save it to bring it up on here because I didn't think we were going to talk about it. I saw they like did a Mario Kart race where they had like all of the different Neuralink patients that
Yeah.
had they all did like a Mario Kart race together. I was like,
Yeah.
progress. But
But I agree with you. I think possibly in our lifetime we could see something like that. I think it would be beneficial for not infants, but like when you're kind of at that age where like you start seeing maybe possible cognitive aspects develop in your child, that could be beneficial to do it on them because then you could uncover things early in their life and not have to and realistically, this could also put a lot of doctors out of business too, because it's like, oh, you go in there and get the scan, and unless doctors utilize this, they
I
don't
think
have.
it'd be the doctors would be the ones doing the scan.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
now unscripted company's going to start their own thing.
I don't want that liability. You know what the liability insurance on that would be? That would be in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would definitely be something that, like, if it happens in our lifetime, I'd probably still go get it done, even if I'm like 50 years old. I'd be like, what's wrong with me? Like,
Yeah.
like let's figure this out.
Yeah.
But
Huh. Well, to get us started off with the night, did you see this news from this past week? So, for those who weren't aware, headline from the New York Post: demonic Annabelle doll absent from a hotel room where paranormal investigator Dan Rivera is found dead. The article is from July 19th, 2025. The infamous Annabelle doll wasn't in the room, but death was. Paranormal investigator Dan Rivera, age 54, was found dead in his Gettysburg, Pennsylvania hotel room this week, just hours after finishing a sold-out Devils on the Run tour at the Soldiers National Orphanage, which featured the allegedly cursed Annabelle doll. The creepy plaything wasn't in the room, though, when first responders arrived and found the U.S. Army veteran dead Sunday night. Adams County Coroner Francis Dutroux told People Friday. Rivera's cause of death remains unknown, with autopsy results still pending. He had been featured as a paranormal investigator on the Travel Channel's Most Haunted Places and served as producer for a number of other shows, including Netflix's 28 Days Haunted. Now, part of Rivera's tour included traveling around the U.S. with other members of the New England Society for Psychic Research, founded in 1952 by famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, to show off the Raggedy Ann doll figure. The Annabelle doll has been tied to a series of supposed hauntings in 1970 after it was given to a Connecticut nursing student named Donna. The Warrens claimed the toy physically lifted its own arms, followed people around the apartment, and would display other frightening and malicious behavior.
I don't think you should ever be allowed to pick that thing up.
Dude, it's crazy to think about because we actually talked about this. I don't know, it might have been like 10, 15 episodes ago, where the Raggedy Ann doll was headed to San Antonio, and there was a lot of uproar because the city of San Antonio was like, no, we do not want this in the city of San Antonio. But on the way to San Antonio, it made a pit stop in Louisiana, and a lot of weird events happened in Louisiana when Annabelle was there, because they had, if I remember correctly, they had that antebellum plantation caught fire and burned down. They had the prison break where I think it was like 12 or 15 prisoners all escaped. And some of them, I think, are still on the run, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they haven't caught all of them. I think they only caught 2.
And I think they had some other stuff go down too. But it's like, as this doll traversed across the country, everywhere it stopped, to a certain extent, had some weird stuff go on there. And for those who don't know, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine Warren, which are featured and referenced in this article, they are the backstory of the Conjuring franchise. So obviously you have the Annabelle movies, but you have the Conjuring 1 and 2, and I guess 3, and is there a 4th one? I forget. But it features Ed and Lorraine Warren in there. Yeah. So they're real people. This is not my field of expertise, but from everything I'm aware of, they're basically the foremost experts outside of the Catholic Church when it comes to whatever you want to believe is demonology, which is, kind of, it's a scary, slippery slope to go down in terms of becoming familiar with it. And if I understand correctly too, I think the Warrens actually consulted with the Catholic Church on a number of cases, which is, I would say, would give them credibility. I'm not going to say I believe one way or the other in terms of the cases that they worked, but a similar case with the Catholic Church. Catholic Church has its own respective history. It is a deep and dark history of things that you and I will never know about. But, when they start talking about exorcisms and demons, you can't help but listen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Actually, just because while you were talking, while you mentioned, I was like, oh, just check it out. They've actually captured 9 out of the 10 escaped inmates.
Okay.
So only one of them is still left, and it's the convicted murderer Derek Groves. So he's the only one that is still out there.
Okay, so we'll get that guy a Netflix documentary, I'm sure, at some point.
Probably.
Doesn't that make a good story, though? I'm not saying I condone the activities that are going on, but if you're the last of 10 escaped convicts from, I believe it was a state prison. I don't know if it's federal. I think it was state prison.
Yeah.
That's got to make a good story, right? Obviously, you Hollywood it up a little bit and you romanticize it, but
they could do a whole, they could do a 10-season Netflix documentary, one for each of them. In the Prison Break.
I never watched it, but the Prison Break TV show, wasn't that that was a top 5 TV show when that was on back in the day. So. Yeah, that thing ran for a while. And what was it about? A prison break. So yeah. So the question is, Annabelle. Was Annabelle the cause of death? Because I think I actually showed an image of it. I'll throw it back up just in case those of you at home didn't catch it.
So just to make sure, this doll is actually missing now.
Let's fact check that in real time. I don't think it's actually still missing, but it was missing at the time of the deceased being found.
Is the Annabelle doll missing 2025 is the top search.
People are wondering. Could you imagine what if, I don't think it's missing, but what if it literally is missing?
Like
That warrants another movie. Reboot it.
oh my god, Annabelle on the run.
Yeah.
Finding Annabelle, who knows? Coroner says Annabelle doll was not present in the hotel room where paranormal investigator Dan Rivera suddenly died.
Yet here's a photo of him on screen because he was the one that handled the doll most often.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
he would transfer it. This is actually like a still from a video. There's so many videos of him because you have to transfer it from like basically box to box. And I just like it makes you wonder. And then who becomes the next handler? You know, who's the next one with the honors of?
Brother, I'd need a hefty salary to do that.
The thing is, I bet you it's more of a passion project.
I bet it is too.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he made, a decent living, but he didn't become wealthy because of it.
They said apparently the police public information officer Megan Fraser shared a report on Wednesday citing details that match Rivera's case and stated that nothing unusual or suspicious was observed at the scene.
Which makes it even more, at least in my opinion, it makes it a little bit more believable, right? Because it's not like someone came into the hotel room. It wasn't like an overdose. It wasn't like, yes, it could have totally been natural causes. People die of just weird, it just happens, right? Like people have brain aneurysms just out of nowhere and it happens. Terrifying to think about. Like, but it's not like someone broke into his hotel room and like, attacked him.
Right.
The call was not coming from inside the house.
Okay, so the doll was moved to a museum in Connecticut after the paranormal investigator couple claimed that the toy stabbed a police officer.
Wait,
and
what?
Resulted in it.
Wait, hold up. The toy Annabelle stabbed a police officer? What are we learning right now?
Hold on. So let me just okay. So Annabelle doll has been linked to a series of paranormal activities in 1970 after it was handed to a nursing student, Donna. Ed and Lorraine claimed that the haunted doll lifted its arms on its own, followed residents around the apartment, all that. You read all that, as reported by the New York Post. And then it says the doll was moved to a museum in Connecticut after the paranormal investigator couple claimed that the toy stabbed a police. Okay, so this was then. Okay.
But I was going to say, so there's a narrative in the Annabelle backstory where the Warrens claim that the possessed doll stabbed a police officer. That's some real shit.
Why is it still here though?
Why is this not under permanent lock and key? You can still move the box that it's in, but like this image here that I have on screen,
that should not be a thing.
That should not be a thing. You should not transfer boxes. It should be a permanent Pope box where you put that thing in there and it's just lock it away. Amen. The end. And you can still move the box around. Yeah, maybe it's like liquid cooled with some holy water. I don't know, but like.
Okay, let me see. Because I can actually see. Let's see here. It actually has of where it's at, where the doll is currently located at.
Okay. I imagine probably back in Connecticut or back in New England somewhere because he did the road trip and then went back up.
Yeah, the Devil's on the Run tour. So that's the current tour. So San Antonio, according to MSN, Annabelle recently made a stop in San Antonio, Texas, where she headlined the 4th annual Psychic and Spirit Fest. The doll's touring schedule continues with planned appearances at paranormal events. One such upcoming appearance is scheduled for the Rock Island Roadhouse Esoteric Expo in Illinois on October 4th. So right now it's probably just hanging out.
Which means come October, maybe late September, we might be hearing some more. Because like he's gone. He's deceased, right? So who's picking up the baton? And also, this is gonna sound very morbid and dark, but like, is this not a huge marketing plus for this event in Illinois to say like we have the doll that potentially just killed its previous handler, but who's the next handler?
It says right here, these appearances follow strict protocols to ensure both the doll's security and visitor safety. But you don't care about the guy that possibly got killed by the doll.
Yeah.
Professional handlers from the New England Society for Psychic Research oversee all transportation and display arrangements. And that's I mean, they talked about the Warren legacy and stuff like that. But yeah, so I guess the doll's just hanging out and just doing whatever until the next appearance. So that's fun.
God, could you imagine being the police officer on call for that? Like, you get there and you hear of a man deceased, etc. Like, you're first to the scene. I'm not gonna say you think it's like a run of the mill situation, but the minute you're like, oh, this is who? And he did what? And you're like, is this gonna follow me home?
I'd be like, you know what? I don't even like working here. Here's my badge. Like, I'm good.
Like, instead of having grief counselors available at the local police department, I feel like you almost have to have like a local parishioner or like a local someone from. Isn't it funny how we always affiliate the Catholic Church with possession and like demonic activity? You never hear about like a non-denominational pastor coming to help out, or you never hear about like, I don't know, a Methodist or Baptist or.
I blame the exorcism movies.
I think, it probably is. It's just like the Hollywood lore that the Catholic Church gets sucked into it. And I guess like technically the Catholic Church does have exorcists, like technically, whereas like I don't think the Southern Baptist Convention has exorcists, or do they? Like that would make a good movie, wouldn't it? Like a good Southern Baptist exorcism.
Yeah, that would be an interesting movie. But yeah,
it would. So yeah, for those of you out there potentially in the Illinois area, be on the lookout for early October. I'm sure we'll bring it up on the podcast then.
Yep.
Annabelle's coming to a town near you.
Annabelle's coming to town. That's gonna be the Halloween theme song, just like Santa Claus is coming to town.
I was just thinking, I was like, oh, we could have ChatGPT write that. We could come up with a jingle.
We could sell it to
merch.
Them. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Man, what do you got on the docket?
All right. Like I said, a lot of it is update based stuff.
Any Carmelo Anthony? Or are we still pretty silent on that for now?
I think we're still silent on that for now. I'll probably look this week and see, and then if we have any updates, because the trial should have already started by now. I thought the trial was supposed to start this month or last month, honestly, but they indicted him last month, so the trial is probably set to start this month or next month.
Yeah, we'll see.
But things keep happening. We'll see.
Yeah, they're still trying to get donations and whatnot, I'm sure.
So apparently, even though we thought that, Trump was against helping, which I'm not saying he was ever against helping other countries, but we did a lot more for the other countries than what we should have done in the, with everything. But apparently he is arming Ukraine and threatens sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil.
The second Trump administration has really boggled me a little bit. It really feels like we're headed back into like a status quo type administration, and it's disappointing, I feel like would be the word. And I think a lot of this, not to derail the conversation, but I think a lot of it kind of happened with the Epstein information, with him flip-flopping, saying, yeah, we'll be transparent, and then all of a sudden saying, nah, none of this happened. Stop looking into it. You're wasting your time. And then I guess I guess I missed the headline on this. So we're starting to send additional funds to Ukraine again? What's going on here? In reversal, Trump arms Ukraine and threatens sanctions on countries that buy Russian oil. Okay, the sanctioning Russian oil, that makes sense to me. But why are we giving any resources to Ukraine still?
That's kind of that's the question.
What's like the first two paragraphs here? What are we working with here? This is from Reuters. So this is, let's see here. U.S. President Donald Trump announced new weapons for Ukraine on Monday and threatened sanctions on buyers of Russian exports unless Russia agrees to a peace deal. Okay. A major policy shift brought on by frustration with Moscow's ongoing attacks on its neighbor. Okay, so it sounds like he's attempting to use sanctions on Russian oil to get them to come to the table to at least talk about a peace treaty, potentially a ceasefire. He goes on to say, but Trump's threat of sanctions came with a 50-day grace period, a move that was welcomed by investors in Russia, where the ruble recovered from earlier losses and stock markets rose. Yeah, I mean, like...
And Trump told reporters he was disappointed in Russian President Vladimir Putin and that billions of dollars of U.S. weapons would go to Ukraine.
We just got to back out of there. Like, I think I know why. I hate that I understand why we're doing this, but I still, me personally, my own personal take, I do like the idea of MAGA, right? Make America Great Again.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that. Now, the way it actually plays out and the people that are actually pulling strings that align themselves with that, that's where it gets a little like murky, I guess, on the reality of the situation. But I like me a good old, why can't we be a hermit nation for a little bit? Why can't we just kind of, we still got to have our feelers out there. We can't be totally disconnected from geopolitics. We got to know where the bad actors still are. We got to understand what's happening. But like, why can't we clean up South Chicago? Why can't we put some money into the Deep South and their education programs? Why can't we clean up our streets a little bit? Why can't we take care of our own backyard before we go poking around other people's houses?
Because, so this is the tricky thing, because
it is tricky. Yeah.
It could be a lot. There could be a lot of reasons. There could be a lot of reasons.
I think the CIA is a big reason.
Yeah. I think like whether or not people want to acknowledge the deep state or not, you have those factors that play a part. If I'm being honest, they want to be involved in stuff because it puts more money in the suits' pockets, because going to war does generate stuff and being a part of war does generate.
How dare you make such accusations? How dare you, sir?
I mean,
we are patriots.
I mean,
there's no money to be made in this war. This is a righteous war.
Okay.
This is for Christ. How dare you?
Okay.
But yeah, no, you're spot on. It's the military industrial complex and, the U.S. government.
And you can't, I don't want to say you can't blame them, but history in turn shows that going to war can be beneficial for a country.
As long as you're on the winning side.
As long as you're on the winning side.
Yeah.
World War I and World War II were prime examples of that. Like, World War I happened, and then everyone came. Technically, here's the thing: I don't think the war ever ended. It just they had a intercession with the war.
That's fair.
And then Japan did what they did, thinking it was gonna. But here's the thing, though. This is kind of where I think that it's impossible to avoid any kind of conflict or any kind of war, because you're gonna look me dead in my face. Well, none of those people back then are looking me dead in my face because they're dead. But as our nation's history, you're going to sit there and tell me that they just so happen to decide to put every single Navy vessel that we had at that time at the same location. And then just so happens that conveniently Japan was like, hello there, and decided to go bomb everything.
Now that sounds a bit conspiratorial, doesn't it, Riley? Are you questioning the decision-making of the leaders of your country?
I'm questioning everything about the decisions that our past, present, and future leaders are probably going to make in this country, because I think we've just gone so far down that hole and we've dug so far down that there's no going back.
How dare you question your government, comrade? But
I don't fight for them.
It is crazy. I think a lot of it has to do with the internet and just the ease of transfer of information and knowledge, and just the collective, I guess, like brainstem of everyone on the internet being able to share information, and like everyone's got a little bit of a tidbit, but once you put all those tidbits together, you start to kind of see an overarching picture of what the reality is or was. And what's trippy is, like, the World War II era, the 1930s and 40s, is just far enough away where it doesn't really impact people alive today, at least in the Western world.
No.
But at the same time, it's just soon enough to where we have photographs, we have video, we have Telegram, we have things that have been archived, right?
Right.
So it's not like going back to the 1700s where if it wasn't on a literal piece of paper that's been archived since, like it's gone to history. It's World War II still has enough stuff that's been digitized since then, or at least we have
Analogued, I guess.
Yeah, we have just enough stuff that's relatively available in archives to kind of piece together what was really happening. And some people are still alive, thankfully.
Yeah.
Like, some people are literally still alive.
Now the thing is, though, is how far down it, like, because we haven't been in school in a long time. I wonder what the history books look like now.
That's a good question, because the one thing I haven't even thought about is I think we're far enough into the future now where, like, is 9/11 in the history books?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Because that was 24 years ago.
It was.
Yeah.
And it may not feel that long ago, but it was, you know. So it's
if
like,
you were born in the year 2000, you're 25.
yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
And so, like, because, like, okay, so, like, what was the, like, when you read your history book, like, when you were in high school, what was the, like, what was the first thing that you remember reading in that history book or seeing in that history book versus the last thing that you saw?
So
if you can remember.
Yeah, so I guess it kind of goes into two different things here. Like, I'm thinking you have the U.S. history course, and you have world history. I'm going to stick on the U.S. history side because I think it's more relevant to this conversation. Right. I think U.S. history, it really starts Jamestown. I think it really, like, it kind of starts teaching you the migration of
I think it was like
Europeans.
The migration, and then what was the Louisiana purchase, like all that kind of stuff, like way back then.
Yeah, so there's a huge gap between there.
Yeah.
I think U.S. history books really, at least when we were in school, it started like in the 1400s, but it makes huge gaps in time. So it has like Plymouth Rock, Jamestown. You fast forward a little bit, and then you kind of get to colonial America at that point. And then you hit major U.S. Revolution, and then you go in depth for a little bit. If you think about it, it's a very short period of time overall.
Right.
And then you skip ahead a little bit, and then you hit, you hit post-revolution, because then you hit the Federalists and Anti-Federalists, kind of the forming of the U.S. government. And then it kind of goes dormant a little bit in the mainstream, and you kind of pick up a little bit with pre-Civil War. And then you hit the Civil War in depth for a little bit, and then you go into the antebellum South.
And then you have the independence. I think that was after. My history's always been like, I was good at it when I did it, but now it's like.
No, you're good. So it's kind of like, I guess to sum it up, you hit Pilgrims, Space and Time, then you hit Revolution, the American Revolution,
right?
A little bit Space and Time, U.S. Civil War, a little bit of Space and Time, and then, like, realistically, didn't really hit too much on like World War II and post that. That's the one thing that bothered me in like U.S. history in high school is you didn't hit that much of the 20th century.
They kind of grouped it all together in one thing.
Yeah,
like when it hit the 1900s, it was like, because I think those books kind of ended, like, even though they showed like U.S. presidents like George W. Bush, and I think even Barack Obama became the president at one, like, during the time.
Yeah, but he wasn't like in the textbooks, though.
But he wasn't in the textbooks. Like, I think a lot of the history like ended like 1990s, going like right at 2000s, like before 9/11.
Like I don't even think the textbooks we had that.
No,
I think it might have cut off in, like, I feel pretty confident.
80s?
I think no, even before that. I think it cut off in like the 60s.
No,
I think it cut off right after Vietnam, maybe.
Because they had, I could have swore they had Martin Luther King and stuff in there, the civil rights movements and stuff.
Did it?
I think so. I'm like,
it might have had like 2 pages. Maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like it was like a section. That's what I'm saying. Like when they hit the 20th century, like where some things could span like 2 sections of the book.
Yeah,
this one had like a small section. It was at the very end, and that was it.
Because I feel silly thinking about this now, but like, because I took in high school, I took AP U.S. history, so like I took like the AP test and studied for a lot. I don't remember that test actually asking anything after the 1950s. Like, I don't remember the civil rights movement coming up once. I don't think I hit the majority of 20th century American history until I went to like college and actually like majored in US history. Like I don't remember any of that being covered in high school.
Right. Because
which I think is very conveniently done, right? Because if you think about it, that history is still very fresh. And what's convenient about documenting history in a history book is that once it's kind of in like a high school history book, it's kind of like sealed, right? There's no questioning it anymore. And so it's kind of tricky whenever you have a very controversial era in American history, like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, where you have back-to-back controversial military conflicts. You have the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and then you have like the freedom movement. You have the women's rights movement. You have the civil rights movement. You have all these things that, depending on who you ask, they had a drastically different opinion on what actually went down. Like if you ask someone in Mississippi what happened in the civil rights movement, you're going to get a totally different story from someone who was, in New Hampshire, right?
Right.
And also those people were still alive. You had teachers that were teaching US history courses that literally grew up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And so I never really thought about that, especially when we were in high school. Like they never hit on the 20th century. And it's kind of a letdown.
Yeah.
Not until you get to university and they actually, give a damn theoretically about an education. Now, when you get to university, they'll teach you about the 20th century, but which side of the aisle does that professor sit on? You'll get a totally different perspective on the 20th century of American history. More so one side of the aisle than the other, I would say. But I digress.
Right. No, I was actually just curious. Like, I was curious because I took, what did I take? I took world history, U.S. history, Texas, because we had a Texas.
Yeah, Texas history. That's in 4th grade, 7th grade. And then.
Was it 7th? Because I did it in 6th. Was it 6th grade?
No, that's 7th grade. Now that I remember that was 7th grade. Because I remember the teacher that I took it with.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait, hang on a second.
I'm pretty sure that was 6th grade.
That was 6th grade. Yeah. That was 6th grade. You're right. Yeah.
Memories.
Because I remember, my middle school was broken up with like one hall was 6th grade, one was 7th, one was 8th.
That's how mine was.
And that's how I remember. Okay, yeah, that was 6th grade. Yeah.
Because I was curious. I was wondering like how many states teach their own history class.
Not that many.
And there's not that many. Like I couldn't find a list, but there's not that many. Like some of them have reported that. So Arkansas had a history class. Oklahoma, Alabama.
It's a lot of states that weren't colonial states. Because think about it, U.S. history is the state history of Virginia, is the state history of Rhode Island.
Right? Yeah, it wasn't a part of the original 13 colonies, kind of, or was that? Because what were the 13 colonies?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot here. Okay, let's see. Let's play a game here. Pull it up real quick so you can fact check me in real time.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah. I'm gonna get. I haven't. Man, that's the one thing.
I like these conversations. I love talking about history. So
I love what I do professionally, in the grand scheme of things. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I kind of miss history from an academic perspective. I can tell I've forgotten things over time, so that's why I'm kind of like, ooh, I want to see if I can rattle off all 13 here, but I need you to be able to fact check me on this one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so let's do Virginia, North Carolina. Oh wait, hang on. Carolina. It's just Carolina, right? Hey, don't say anything. Let me actually rattle this off real quick. Okay, 13 colonies. Rhode Island, Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Maryland, New Hampshire, Vermont. Hang on, give me a second. Ohio was the first state. Pennsylvania wasn't a colony. Was it a colony? No. Hang on. New York was the Dutch. New York wasn't a colony. Maine wasn't a colony. Delaware. I'm like trying to visualize a map. If I looked at a map, I could factually tell you, but I'm trying to rattle off without looking at a map right now. What else is up there? Massachusetts, duh. Boston. That's 10. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire. What am I missing? Was Pennsylvania a colony? Was it? Pennsylvania? Dang, okay. Pennsylvania. I know Ohio wasn't. That was a state. What am I missing? West Virginia didn't exist yet.
Do you want me to tell you?
I'm missing one, right?
You're technically, if I was able to keep up with how like your process, I think you're technically missing 3.
Oh, hang on. Let me look at a map. I promise I'm not looking them up. Let me just go to maps.google. I can definitely rattle off if I have a map in front of me because I can look. I know geographic.
I could tell you, like, because I have the color, like it's a straight color coded, like.
Oh, Connecticut. How did I forget Connecticut? Jersey. How did I forget Jersey? Yes. Okay. So it's Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont. I don't think Maine was a colony. Was it? New York wasn't. And then Pennsylvania. What else am I? Was Kentucky? No, Kentucky broke off from Virginia at one point.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
New York was a colony. So
New York was a colony?
It was New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, both Carolinas, and Georgia.
Yeah. I know New York was a weird one because it was owned by the Dutch for the longest time.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay.
So, yeah, those are the original. But, I mean, hey, you got, like, because you said Vermont, and Vermont wasn't one. So, I think you technically got 10 of them. You're just missing just the 3 that you were trying to figure out. But
interesting. So, I'm going to humor myself and pull up an image of this. Vermont wasn't. Vermont was just a weird empty land up there. Yeah, Vermont didn't exist. It was New Hampshire, though. Okay. What was happening in Vermont during this time? Beautiful state. That's so weird. Yeah, it's just an empty land up there. Yeah.
Because it wasn't colonized at that time, unless they were in the process of colonizing it. It just wasn't established yet.
No, it wasn't like an official colony.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun history lesson. Like I said, I enjoy talking about that kind of stuff. Like I do. Like I don't get to have conversations like that a lot with a lot of people, and so I enjoy those conversations.
Yeah.
So 2 things I want to touch on, and then we can hit your next thing. But this was just so weird because I was looking at these. I saw these 2 articles, and I want you to look at the date and the timestamp on both of these articles. Okay. So let's see here. So look at the headline.
U.S. equity funds see weekly outflows on tariff worries, inflation pressure. Dated July 18th, 2025 at 7:31 a.m. Central Daylight Time.
Okay. Now I want you to look at this next one.
Okay. U.S. consumer sentiment improves in July 18th, 2025, 9:25 a.m. Interesting.
So let this be, I just want everyone to know this, that I didn't plan this. I was just like, okay, let me click on these couple articles because I do want to just touch on them just real quick.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at the timestamps and I was like, they literally just said that people are worried about tariffs and inflation, all this other kind of stuff. And then not even 2 hours later, U.S. consumer sentiment improves in July.
It's funny because sometimes I think you can manufacture news and then no one's going to question it, you know, because you're connecting the dots right now, right? But someone else out there only saw one or the other, or they see both and they didn't bother to look at the timestamp. They just read the headline and like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so let this be a lesson to everyone that when you read articles and you're researching stuff, and Reuters is actually it's a good third party. Like they're not like, your CNN, your Fox or anything like that, but they do put out some good headlines. And they do put out some good stuff. I don't use primarily this one, but this is one of the ones that I do use when I'm researching stuff based on economical changes and everything. And this goes to show you that even they're capable of missing the mark. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to read one article and you're not going to think anything else about the other article. So always do yourself a favor. When you read the headline, read the timestamps and see when the article is published. So that, I'll be honest, that was primarily the reason why I wanted to touch on those two, because I noticed that last second. I was like, I got to hit this real quick.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness. All right. One thing that I was kind of surprised to actually see in the news this week, but not really surprised, but kind of surprised. CBS came out and said they are canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, citing it was a financial decision. Now, what's interesting is they're not just canceling Stephen Colbert and like swapping him out. They're canceling The Late Show all together. So Stephen Colbert's beloved late night show is coming to an end, according to the New York Post. CBS announced its plan to cancel The Late Show with Stephen Colbert after the next TV season. In a statement they released on Thursday, July 17th, the network claimed it was purely a financial decision, saying, "We consider Stephen Colbert irreplaceable and will retire the Late Show franchise." In May of 2026, CBS executives' statement read, saying, "We are proud that Stephen called CBS home. He and the broadcast will be remembered in the pantheon of greats that grace late night television." Quote, "This is purely a financial decision against a challenging backdrop in late night. It is not related in any way to the show's performance, content, or other matters happening at Paramount," which, for those who don't know, is the parent company of CBS. Stephen Colbert addressed the situation during the taping of Thursday's show at the Ed Sullivan Theater in New York, sharing that he learned the news on Wednesday evening. Delivering the news from his iconic late show desk, the television host said he was appreciative to the network for giving him a platform. As the audience booed, Colbert chimed in, saying, "Yeah, I share your feelings." He continued to explain, "I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away," saying, quote, I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us, and I'm extraordinarily, deeply grateful to the 200 people who work here." Colbert continues, saying, quote, "We get to do this show for each other every day, all day." He added, saying, "It's a fantastic job. I wish someone else was getting it." Now, what's interesting about this is like CBS is retiring the whole Late Show, which goes all the way back to, I remember I set it up here because I named the theater after him, Ed Sullivan. So like if you go back in the history of all these late shows, you had Johnny Carson, Ed Sullivan, and you had some big names over time, like Jay Leno. You also had, what's his name? The ginger who got snubbed and he went off to TBS all angrily. Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had some, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel, I guess he's still doing it, but
I don't really know. I feel like I never really was a big fan of any of these shows, primarily because I'm not saying they were pushing their own agendas, but they would say some controversial things to some of their guests that they would have on. And I kind of didn't like how they just kind of came about it. And I get it, it's entertainment. I get it. Here's the thing. They may be canceling the show. Podcasts are a thing.
Oh, for sure.
And they may not be doing this anymore, but they're still going to have a show. Something. They're going to have some kind of show. And it's going to be something that he's going to promote for his own thing and his own, just on his own platform, and he's still going to continue having people.
Definitely. Yeah. I think like the problem is the late shows, they don't hit with those that, are seeking entertainment. They don't hit with the modern generation or demographic really. It's such an antiquated format. It's the same thing week in, week out. It's cringe sometimes, they get the celebrities to come on there to promote movies and TV shows. And
right.
They're not authentic interviews. They're highly scripted, highly narrated. And I think once you see through that, like I remember I used to love watching late night TV shows growing up. I would, back when 10:30 felt like it was really late to stay up, and I'd watch Jimmy Kimmel and Jay Leno. And I remember, I think I was technically in high school, maybe, I forget, but Jimmy Kimmel came for South by Southwest in Austin, and he did like a week of tapings here. And I got tickets to go see him, and I went and actually was like in the audience for an episode of Jimmy Kimmel. That's when I think the magic was totally lost for me at that point, because I just wasn't aware of just how manufactured the whole thing was.
Right.
They used techniques to try to hype up the crowd. So, like, as an example, he would have like a hype guy, and this hype guy was in charge of like making sure the audience was like cheering, not cheering, coming in and out of commercial break. And they try to get you to like cheer by throwing you gift cards, but like Subway gift cards and like weird things where it just, I don't want to say it felt dirty, but it didn't feel authentic.
Yeah.
And
like it's not like you can get the same interaction with like if you're on a podcast, you're doing a live stream and people are interacting and doing the thing, because when people are interacting, when you're doing stuff like that, like it hits different. But like if you're having to buy the interactions from people, like
yes. Yeah, like shouldn't we be cheering just because we're happy to be there or happy to see the production, not because like you're throwing $25 Subway gift cards at us,
Right.
And yeah, it's also really interesting too if you want to go down the rabbit hole of looking at the actual viewership numbers of some of these TV shows that historically used to be highly watched, but nowadays not so much. Like I was looking up, what the average view count for the Late Show with Stephen Colbert was in Q2 of 2025? You want to guess how many people would watch on the average night?
56.
56 what?
Just 5,600 people. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Man, both you and Abby, asked Abby this question too, and both of y'all guessed stupid low numbers. Now, it's more like 220,000, but like...
I mean, that's not, I mean, that's good, but like,
who do you think about who you watch on YouTube?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Think about those numbers.
To be fair, I mean, I watch people who live stream now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if I watch gamers, it's a live stream based things, like, because I don't like having to constantly flip through finding something.
Yeah.
Like I'll put a live stream on and just listen to it while if I'm working in the living room. If I'm working in my office, it'll be like a podcast or something like that, and I'll put on something.
But like, just go to the homepage of YouTube. You don't have to do this, but like, just go to the homepage of YouTube like right now. Look at how many videos, just single videos, have more than 220,000 views. And then look at how many accounts in general have more subscribers than that.
I think it blows my mind though that people have the time, because like there was at one point like I was trying to stream like gaming and everything, but it's like people that have the, like when they're starting out, how they have the time to just put in to edit their own stuff and do their own thing. And now they got software for it though that'll clip things and like, but it's
what they don't have though? Applebee's is a name sponsor for their podcast. Shout out to Applebee's, eating good in the neighborhood. Hit them up late night for select half-price appetizers. Tell them and Riley and JK from the Unscripted Company podcast sent you, and they'll hook you up with those half-price appetizers, baby. Tell them we sent you. Yeah,
for sure. No, it's but yeah, like I agree though. Like I'm just kind of just scrolling down through here, 4.4 million views, 1.7 million views, and it does kind of blow my mind. It does.
And think about how many news articles or headlines you've seen where it says like Jimmy Kimmel said this, Jimmy Fallon said that, and you're like, who cares? They make it seem like these late night shows still like are heavyweights in entertainment, and it's like they are not.
Nothing
so much so that well, this is public television too.
Yeah,
you don't have to have cable to watch this. This is like you can have bunny ear antennas and watch this for free. CBS, I think, is in like almost every media market in this country. It's like CBS, ABC, and NBC. I mean, I guess Fox nowadays. Fox used to not, but
What's the show? It's another one of those like live viewer shows. Hold on, now I figured it out. Hold on.
Like on television?
Yeah. Now this is okay. Now here's this. The View currently gets 2.6 million views. Like
that's a bunch of people who are unemployed and stay home all day and drink way too many mimosas.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'd rather watch the late night show than that.
But also, I mean, the argument still kind of stands. Think about how many creators you've seen that have more subscribers than that, or more average views on video than that.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
Yeah. So that's really my news from the week. I got a couple others if we need more stuff to talk about, but what else you got on your side?
I mean, I have others. Again, it's just updates, but the one thing I do want to talk about is the fentanyl.
Yeah.
the murder.
Yeah.
Because that's not too far away from me.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to hit on that.
Dare I say they had a Krum of fentanyl?
Yeah. So Krum man arrested for murder and fentanyl overdose case, and this was last week. So this is the man. So officers responded to a home in the 800 block of Northwood Street on December 3rd, 2024, where Mark Saltzman, 64, was found unresponsive and pronounced dead at the scene. Following an investigation, detectives determined that 45-year-old George Howard Cook II allegedly had sold narcotics containing fentanyl to Saltzman prior to his death. In June, the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office ruled Saltzman's cause of death as a mixed drug toxicity, heroin and fentanyl, which, when we talked about at the beginning of the episode, it's not just fentanyl. They're mixing stuff with it. With diabetic ketoacidosis. Based on the ruling, Denton police obtained a murder warrant for Cook. Cook was taken into custody Monday at his home. During the arrest, officers discovered heroin, fentanyl, and methamphetamines in his possession, leading to an additional second-degree felony charge of possession of a controlled substance in the amount of 4 to 200 grams.
Oh, boy.
And he is being currently held at in the city of Denton jail. Bond has not been set. So something that happened in 2024 came back around to bite him in the behind. So
yeah, that's crazy. I'm not saying don't do heroin, but I don't think your heroin should also have fentanyl in it.
No, get your heroin out of my fentanyl.
That's the whole thing. It's like, man, the things you have to be worried about these days. Like back in the 80s, everyone was doing cocaine. It was a great time. I wasn't around, but I hear stories.
Apparently, it was also like that. I'm not defending it.
It was pure. It was like
pure.
Yeah.
There was nothing else mixed with it. Even like when you get down to like the LSD and all that kind of stuff, like it was pure LSD. Like all the stuff that they're doing now, it's not. And you're just getting a bunch of things that your body already can't tolerate in a large amount, and it's concentrated and put into a pill that you can either grind up and do whatever with, or just take the pill. And
no, it's obviously don't condone most of these drugs that people are consuming, but if you happen to be in that demographic or that audience, check yourself before you wreck yourself, because it's I don't know if I'm sure y'all have them up there in North Texas. We have the billboards where it just says like fentanyl kills and has like all the photos of these like teenagers who, it is crazy. Like, when when they're putting weird loopy stuff and just like your average marijuana, that's when it gets a little tricky. Like nothing's safe.
No,
nothing's safe, which is a really good argument to regulate stuff to a certain extent too. I'm not saying like every drug out there has got to be regulated or legal, but if you knew you could go somewhere and safely purchase it, it has benefits,
Well, the kicker is like, that's not safe. Like nothing that you buy recreationally or on the streets is safe. And I'll even go as far as to say that anything you get from your doctor isn't safe either, because they're just pumping you full of stuff that supposedly is supposed to make you feel better, but it doesn't. And in some cases, it makes you feel worse.
I think example A is Oxycontin. All the opioids over the last 15, 20 years.
Yep.
Everyone thought they were all right. And then addiction happens and suburbia America gets hit hard.
Like when I went to the doctor originally and all they wanted to do was just give me a steroid shot and then give me muscle relaxers and more steroids, I didn't like the muscle relaxers. Like they told me not to drive, but I still had to work. And so like I was driving to go do showings while I was on muscle relaxers.
Yeah.
And I just, even though they say that, I think they were only like 20 milligrams a piece, wasn't a lot. I still didn't like the way they made me feel. And they don't talk about that kind of stuff. Like doctors are, but now I think with like a lot of them buckling down, I did see something that came out. RFK came out and said that there's a lot more of the manufacturing companies are coming out and taking a stand against all of the dyes and all of the things that they're putting into food. And so they're trying to go back to a more natural way of doing everything so that you're not going to have a bunch of just processed whatever in your food. So
yeah, the whole joke Abby and I keep talking about is like the big one is they're taking out, was it red 40 or like the red food coloring? And so Big Red, the soda, it's gonna be Big Beige. Like what's the I have a fun theory that I think it's still gonna all still be the same color, like all these like artificial colors that we're used to seeing. Like the easy example is like Skittles and M&Ms, right? They're not gonna not have color in there. I think what's gonna happen is I think innovation is going to occur to where they're able to come up with these artificial colors that are under the new guidelines safe to consume. It's just costs maybe a couple pennies more than the prior stuff did, and no one really decided to develop it because they didn't have the pressure to do so. You know, I think innovation is going to happen where we're going to come up with a new blue, we're going to come up with a new red. Maybe it's slightly less vibrant, maybe it's more vibrant. I don't know, but they're going to find a way to, like, you're not going to tell Mars Candy they can't color their M&Ms like the way they have been, you know?
I just think that if I'm being honest, they should just do away with all kind of candy and processed sugar and all of that.
I think you have too high hopes for
that
one.
I know, but that's just me because I'm just like, it doesn't do anything. Like you could make stuff at home that's just as sweet, just as like sweet tasting, and it's healthier for you. And I see people do it all the time. They get like
but we're lazy, Riley. Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't have time.
You could meal prep it on Sundays, and there you go. It's there all week. Just saying.
Yeah.
So people talk about, I don't have time for this. Well, if you meal prep everything, so all you got to do is just stick it in the microwave or the air fryer. There you go. Like you're good. And some things that are refrigerated that require to be cooled to eat, stick it in the fridge, have it meal prepped in bowls, and there you go. But they just, I don't know. There's just like some, now don't get me wrong, some processed food is like, I'm not going to say all processed food is bad. There are some things that like when you kind of look at everything, like, okay, I can see, you know, like it does have some health benefits to it based on the type of food that they're going for. But there are times where they'll make a processed food and they'll slap a label on it and they'll say it's this, but it's really not though.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you might as well just buy the stuff yourself, spend a little bit more money, and then make it at home yourself.
I think a good example is Lunchables. And they find out there's lead in it. Why is there lead in it? It's crackers, cheese, and meat. Your guess is as good as mine.
I mean, it's just like when you take supplements, you take iron and you take lead. I think, I don't think they have like a lead supplement. I know they have like magnesium.
I don't think there's a lead supplement.
But... No, there's not. But they have like iron, magnesium, and all those.
Yeah.
It's just like when people are like, why am I finding iron? Like, because they take like a magnet and they put
metal.
And I'm like, well, it's iron. So it's like.
Different kind of iron, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. Anyways, I digress.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, that's all I really had on my side. The only other thing I had was like the whole CEO and HR from Astronomer. I think the entire world already knows what's happened with that.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, I think tomorrow, so we're live streaming this on a Sunday evening. I think come tomorrow morning, which will be Monday, I think there's going to be so much more information that comes out just because it's like the work week will start.
Right.
And word on the street is they're both stepping away from the company. Kind of makes sense. There's no way you kind of back out of this one. I'm sure, have you seen all like the videos at like sporting events and stuff where all the other couples and mascots are even like, mimicking
all the memes
event
and stuff? Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you that if you're trying to sneak around, it's never going to work out in your favor.
Exactly. The whole funny thing about that, and I'll leave it with this before I hand it off to you for like final words, is this is not an original idea, but if they just would have acted normal and not had like overly animated their negative response to being like on the Jumbotron, no one would have ever known. Right? Because no one would have like been like, oh, like it's an affair, they're cheating, et cetera, et cetera. They just would have played it off normal. None of this would have happened. But everyone now knows about Astronomer. I'll say that. Everyone is fully aware of what Astronomer is as a company and what they do.
Yeah.
They also know who their former CEO is. I don't think he's technically the former CEO yet, but I think his days are numbered.
Yeah.
And also, where do you go next? And also, who's the divorce lawyer? Because, ooh, buddy, everything's on camera. Like, there's no denying that one. You know, it's like they know exactly what happened there. But I digress. Well, I think episode 77 of the Unscripted Company podcast is in the books. As always, thank you yet again to our sponsor, Applebee's. Eating good in the neighborhood. Hit them up late night for half-price appetizers. If you tell them Riley and JK from the Unscripted Company podcast sent you, they'll hook you up with those half-price specials. Just ask them. They'll let you know. Come back and let us know how much you enjoyed your experience there after telling them that. And Riley, got any last words for the people out there?
Yeah, be careful about headlines on articles. Again, anything political, economical, whatever is out there. Always, do some research before you just read an article and then you form an opinion on that article, because as I just showed, one article said that tensions were rising for inflation, and the other one said that consumer nerves were put better or something like, I don't know. But yeah, just be careful about that. There were things we didn't talk about, but we can always talk about them next week. Don't do drugs. That should be a given. Don't do drugs. Coming from someone who has a history of certain aspects, nothing fentanyl or heroin related.
Yeah, put an asterisk on that one. That's
yeah, nothing fentanyl or heroin or methamphetamines, nothing like that. But just a past history of myself and everything. But yeah, be safe out there. One quick update about the Texas flood stuff real quick.
Yeah, what you got?
A lot of that has digressed down a lot. So nearly 100 people who had still been listed as missing after deadly flash flooding swept across central Texas on July 4th have been found safe, with only 3 individuals still missing.
That's good.
So praise God on that. That only 3 people. I mean, it's still not good, but hopefully they get found soon. To put people's mind at ease and the families of those people. There was a total of, it says as of Sunday, which this article was written today, the death toll stood at 107, including 70 adults and 37 children. But it said across Texas, so that was just Kerr County, but across Texas, 135 people were killed.
That's a lot of people.
That's more than any other natural event that's happened this year so far. And so, again, just keep those families in your prayers. Just keep everyone in your minds and your thoughts and everything. It's never fun, and especially when unexpected stuff like this happens. And it happened so terribly unexpected, and it happened within a matter of minutes when all this stuff really started going off. So just keep all those people and those families in your prayers and your thoughts. Again, remember to love on everyone. Do the best that you can. Not everybody's perfect, and we're all figuring it out one day at a time. So.